You are listening to Small Business Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives small business owners the straight talk on productivity, time management, business systems, leading your teams, strategic decision-making, and mindset. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the productivity specialist.
Welcome and thank you for listening to the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. Today is episode 328, Creating a Schedule that Supports Your Ideal Work-Life Balance. If you're a small business owner who wants to learn effective business strategies, improve time management, and elevate productivity to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. Today, we're going to be diving into the topic of how you can achieve more work-life balance by creating a schedule that more effectively supports it. Before we dive in, though, I want to make sure that you have taken my Next Level Business Owner quiz. If you have not already done so, hit pause, head on over to amberdelagarza.com/quiz to take this quick 3-minute quiz that will uncover what is most holding you back from growing your business to the next level. And then you'll get a personalized playlist of the podcast that addresses those specific challenges so that you have solutions and actionable steps you can implement in your business right away. So go head on over to amberdelagarza.com/quiz. And now let's get to the straight talk. Although you might have always had the entrepreneurial spirit, in all likelihood, you did work a 9-to-5 job or some other sort of corporate job at some point where you had to clock in and clock out. You had to ask for time off. You were told when and what to work on. Your schedule was given to you along with an employee handbook of policies and procedures, company standards, benefits, and the like. Maybe you ventured out to start your own business because you hated that life in which other people got to plan when you worked and for how long you worked and for how much pay you received. Now, on your own, running your own business, you get to write your own rules and create your own schedule. But look around. Do you have the freedom and lifestyle you wanted to live? Or do you run a business that doesn't allow time for personal life because you constantly arrive early, stay late, work weekends, bring work home? You started a business because you wanted less structure. I get it. And more freedom. But truth be told, to best support your ideal work-life balance, you do need some structure. I'm going to repeat that again. To fully support your ideal work-life balance, you do need structure. You just need to create a structure that works for you and supports the life you want to live. And you can do that by using your calendar and becoming a skilled architect of your own schedule. What's more empowering to know that you are the one that gets to create the structure, the schedule, the responsibilities, the routine. When I started working with clients and review their schedule, there are times where it is so clear that they are overcommitted and there are little to no boundaries to their work time. They come in early, they work late, maybe they work later in the morning and stay later. It's all over the board. On the other hand, just because your calendar isn't overflowing with scheduled meetings, tasks, and projects hardly means you're not living out an overcommitted, overwhelmed schedule. It just means that you're not documenting where you spend your time on your calendar, which creates room for even more overwhelm and chaos. My promise to my clients is that I'll work with them to improve their productivity and time management, so that they can maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most. And a big part of that work is helping my clients create their ideal schedule. Identify where they're currently at. Then evaluate the gap between the two, solving for that gap, and creating the right degree of structure is where the work is at. Taking your current schedule and morphing it into a schedule that's much more closely resembles your ideal schedule. That is how more work-life balance is created. I have found the goal of creating more work-life balance to be the most important to many of my clients. They are on this journey of creating a successful business or continuing to run their successful business, but they're looking around and realizing they've been sacrificing way too much to get to this point. You too might be sacrificing way too much if you've thought or said things like, I just want to come up for air. I feel like I'm drowning. I've missed so many family gatherings. I've canceled or avoiding planning anything with friends because I never know my schedule. I know I need to delegate and outsource, but it feels like I don't even have the time to do so. So I just do it all myself. I need a vacation, but when am I ever going to find the time to get away? My spouse misses me and wishes I had more time for him or her. My health is suffering at the expense of my business, pushing it down the road. When I get to this point, then I'll eat healthy, then I'll take a break, then I'll work out. I'm successful by other people's standards, but I feel like I'm living in chaos, and I bring that stress home to my family, and they do not deserve that. I'm missing out on my kids growing up. When I dreamed of getting into business, I never thought it would feel like this. I am so tired. Does any of that sound familiar? Are these your realities, your thoughts, things that you say under your breath? Well, I'm going to share with you 4 steps you can take towards creating a schedule that supports your ideal work-life balance. Number 1, get clarity on your vision and claim it. What is it that you truly want? You may have never paused to really think about this and answer that question. Perhaps you have answered it, but it has been so vague and it keeps getting pushed further and further away. Step number 1, get clarity on your vision and claim it. I'm going to invite you to ask and answer this specific question. What does your ideal work-life balance specifically look and feel like? And being specific is going to help you with clarity. And here are some ideas on how you may go about answering that question. How many days a week do you want to work? Is it a 4-day work week? Is it a 6-day work week? Is it a 4.5-day work week? Are you taking long vacations? Do you prefer a 6-week vacation or several mini vacations throughout the year? Do you just want to take off all the days off that the kids are taking off? Do you want to work less in the summer? Do you want to volunteer with your kids' school or sports? Do you want to take off extra time around the holidays at the end of the year so they're less stressful and you can really be present? Do you want to schedule more work during your busy season if your business is seasonal? And to understand that there is an off season and you don't need to show up in the same way 12 months of the year? Perhaps you want to be home for dinner most nights of the week, maybe every night of the week. Or perhaps your vision is just one night a week. You're guaranteed to be home early for dinner with the family. Perhaps you want to take a dance class right in the middle of the week because it's the only time it's offered. And dancing brought so much joy and you felt like you were truly living life. Perhaps clarity around what your ideal work-life balance is, looking ahead and knowing that you can take time off to care for loved ones. Maybe it's the season that your kids are in, or perhaps you're taking care of elderly parents or loved ones. Do you want to work from home a couple days a week or every day, or maybe not at all? Are you able to start working mid-morning and work later into the evening when your creative juices are flowing? Do you want to work a shorter day and you want to get a couple hours of focused work time late into the evening? This is up to you, and this is the amazing part. You can answer this for you and yourself. And do not think that this first step is one that you can skip over. And while it seems simple, it may not feel easy to answer this for yourself. I have found that my clients don't often really know what it is they want because it feels impossible, because they get stuck in the how. They get stuck in seeing through the lens of what their current life is or their current business is. And I am asking you to get crystal clear on your vision so that you can claim exactly what it is that you want with as much specific detail as possible. The ideal schedule becomes the goal that you will work on achieving. This is just the first step of 4. This isn't a matter of answering how or when you'll get there, but I want you to really, really get clear around what that ideal schedule is in all the details. Because just like any good goal, you have to be clear. You have to have clarity with what it looks like once you've achieved that. Number 2, identify where you're currently at. So what I asked you to do is suspend where you're currently at. Suspend the current reality and answer, what do you want the reality to be in the future of your ideal work-life balance? And number 2 is coming back and answering, where are you currently at? And one way to answer that is to track and audit your time. A lot of times when with regards to time, we go with what we feel or we most recently experienced. And because time seems to be so abstract, I find that the real data to get accurate answers of where you're currently at is going to be in tracking your time. And I want you to make decisions with your time and your business and your life based on real data, not how you feel. And I'm going to give you a couple examples here. I've had clients that say that they work 50 to 60 hours. And when we track their time, it's closer to 40, 45. But they feel exhausted and those hours are broken up and they're scattered over 7 days because they're always on call. And so whether they're actually working or their mind is always on the business, that is what they feel, but that is not what's actually happening. I also have clients that say, okay, I feel stressed with time because I can only work 30 hours a week. I'm only working 30 hours a week. And when we track their time, we find out they're squeezing in pockets of time everywhere, and it's far more than the 30 hours. So again, answering the question of where are you currently at? Where are you spending your time? How are you choosing to invest your time? What gets your time, energy, and attention has to be based on data. We have some episodes that we'll link out to at the end of today's episode that talks about tracking your time. But I do want you to think about how can this be as simple as possible. A couple ways that I like is number 1 is Harvest. It's a time tracking app. You can have it on your phone. You can integrate it with Asana. You can have it on your desktop. It's very versatile and it will definitely capture and feed back to you the data that you need to be looking at. You can also be tracking your time by accurately documenting where you're spending and investing your time on your calendar. The limitation to that is that the data is not then given back to you in a way that you can see it in different ways, but at least you're still documenting accurately, and we can definitely take a look at that. And I have an episode where I talk about how to do an audit on your schedule and what your schedule and calendar can tell you and teach you about where there's gaps or improvements, and we'll link out to that as well. So number 2 is identify where you're currently at. And to do that, we have to track your time and gather that data. Number 3, evaluate the gap between the two. So number 1 was, where do you want to be? What does that ideal work-life balance look like? Number 2 is collect the data and accurately identify where you're currently at. Number 3 is identify the gaps between the two. So if you're currently working 6 days and you want to go to 4, document that. If you're consistently getting off at 7 o'clock at night and your preference is 5 or maybe 3, document that. If you're focused most of your days on tasks and projects that you do not want to be doing, and you would rather fill your time with other types of tasks and projects that run your business, document that. Document the gap between the two. And when you clearly answered the first, and then you got the data for the second, the gaps are going to definitely bubble up and be clear as day. Which brings me to number 4. Why is there a gap? So number 4 is solve for that gap. There is always a gap when I work with my clients. That's why they come to me. And there are gaps between your ideal work-life schedule and what is your reality for many, many different reasons. And I do find it to be my job to dive in and get to know my clients, their situation, their business, and identify what is sabotaging, what is getting in the way from them living their work-life balance. And I'm going to share this list with you, and it's going to be things that you've thought of, and it's going to be things that you have never thought of. And this is by no means an extensive list, but I want to give you an idea of how to look at that gap through the lens of your job is to now solve for those gaps. If the goal is to live out your work-life balance and you know where you're currently at, the goal now becomes, how do you solve for that? I do want to address here as well is that just because you're clear about where you want to be and what your ideal schedule is and what the gap is, does not mean that you can wave a magic wand and now your schedule is just this new ideal schedule. There are reasons why that is not currently the reality, and I find it to be incredibly irresponsible for other coaches or time management experts that will say, just identify it, claim it, and change it. It's not that simple. We run real businesses, and there's a reason why you have gotten here with your schedule and your time. And those things often need to be solved to have a healthy, profitable business. They may just need to be solved in a different way so that you're including that when those are solved, that the reward is that you're living your ideal work-life balance. So number 1, of course, is productivity and time management. Simply put, if you're mismanaging your time, then you're not focused on your highest value activities that actually move the needle. And so you'll find yourself incredibly busy and looking for these times on the weekend and the evenings all around that are not in the middle of the workday because you're busy during the workday working in your business and can't find the time to work on your business. So poor productivity, time management, priorities, understanding your role in your business, understanding your role so that you can better understand what support that you need with your team is. Next, operational efficiency, business systems, and workflow. Sometimes there's a gap because of inefficiencies, that it's taking too much time and energy to get to a certain point with your business. And you can get there to that same point more effectively and efficiently by looking at how your operations run. What are your business systems? Do you have SOPs? Are there checklists? Can you condense steps? What does the workflow look like to deliver the service that you are selling. Another gap that gets in the way is simply profitability and cash flow. And I see this frequently with clients because they let their profitability and cash flow dictate their schedule. So they may have an ideal schedule, but because cash flow is up and it's down, and maybe there's little profitability, and so you're really running on that line all the time from paycheck to paycheck, meaning paying your team to paying your team, or the operating expenses, that it feels like you're always in crisis mode, that you're always being reactive. If we can't get that profitability and cash flow to be more consistent and predictable, it will always override any intentions you have around your schedule. Next, not planning and prioritizing. And this could be procrastinating, not hitting deadlines, client deliverables, not planning and prioritizing personal events. So for me, you will see my son's basketball schedule on my calendar. And darn it, those basketball games are at 3 p.m. They're at 4 p.m. And so can I properly plan for those events because I know those are priorities for me to attend? Next, boundaries. Many people lack boundaries with team members, with clients, with vendors. You are not communicating when you are accessible, what it is that you'll do, what are you contracted under for your services, so there's scope creep. Boundaries can sabotage any schedule, always, all the time. Another area that I focus on to help with this ideal work-life balance is business strategy and model. There are many times that fundamentally, the way the business is delivering the service or making its revenue, what that business model looks like, is not ideal for you to live your work-life balance. And so we look at that. We look at how much are you charging? What type of clients are you taking on? How are you delivering these services? What's within the scope based on your team? There's a lot of questions to look at around business strategy and model. And I think this is one area that many people don't think of when they think of productivity, time management, profitability, is that if you're running a business where the model doesn't make sense anymore, maybe it made sense at some point, but has it been audited, and can you really look at it through a clear lens? And I have found that this is something incredibly valuable that a business coach can do, is looking at that from a high level through a clear lens of how is this affecting everything from the time you get home, the days you work, to your profitability, to the team that you manage, really comes back to what is your fundamental business strategy and model. Next, another gap is calendar management. Are you creating and holding enough white space? Because we all know that no day goes exactly as planned. We also know that so many things come up that are unexpected and unplanned for, and we need to be able to address those and pivot and move and adjust. But when there is no white space on your calendar, or you're overcommitted and you're overscheduling, then any little unexpected thing becomes a huge stressor. It becomes a huge thing, and then often has this domino effect on your days and your weeks to where you're always feeling behind. Next, building and leading your team. So really evaluating, is there a gap between your ideal schedule and where you're currently at because of the team? Now, this could be because of the team, i.e. you don't have one. It could be that you don't have the right people in the right area. It could mean that you are not training your team and supporting them in a way that allows them to best support you. This also could be that you like to hoard the work and not delegate and clearly communicate. There's a lot around leadership. And I would say second to the business strategy and model that I think a lot of people might underestimate how much of leading our team, hiring, training, supporting, communication has to do with our own reality and experience of running our business. That 100% affects our schedule, our stress, and certainly our profitability in the business. Next, your posse. And I refer to your posse as in anyone outside of the business that can help support you. This could be on the home front. This could be a landscaper, someone that works in your home and helps clean it. It could be your therapist. It could be anyone that you surround yourself with, paid or unpaid. So family or non-family, friends that really helps support you to show up your best, both in your personal life and your business. And I have a lot of creative ways to look at that. I think that looking at it solely as getting support and leveraging support in your business alone is not enough. Our lives really require a lot from us. And I don't know that not looking at it in the same way as, well, how do I find processes and how do I find support through people in my business? Why can't we apply that to our personal lives? And then lastly on this list that I wanted to address of solving the gap is self-leadership and self-discipline. Because you could declare, you could have clarity, you could create the prettiest block schedule, ideal schedule, you could communicate this to other people, your assistant can help you ensure that you're not being overscheduled. And at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. Do you have self-leadership and self-discipline to stick to the schedule you created? There will be temptations everywhere, every day, all the time to derail you from your ideal schedule. Can you hold your ideal schedule sacred and that you understand that it's not just to serve you in that moment to get home by, say, 5 o'clock, but it's there to serve you and hold that boundary because of what you want to experience as being a business owner and experience in your life. Self-leadership, self-discipline is a big area that I focus on when working with my clients. I want to recap the 4 steps because I did go deep into each of them just so that we're super clear about what these 4 steps are. Number 1 is get clarity on your vision and claim it. Create that ideal schedule. Number 2, identify where you're currently at. Track and audit your time. Review the data. Don't have stories around the data. Look at it clearly as this is just where I'm currently at. It doesn't need to mean anything. Number 3, evaluate the gap between the two. Why are you not currently living a more balanced life? What are the roadblocks that are in your way? And then number 4, I gave you a list of ways to solve that gap. Areas in which you can look at in your business. And those areas that I shared with you are specific areas that I work with my clients on through coaching, both one-on-one privately and in my group coaching program. These are real challenges. Many of us, while we had an entrepreneurial spirit, we woke up one day and realized we were business owners, that we are making decisions every day, all day, that we have huge responsibilities, that we're leading other people. And there are skill sets that when you focus on developing, I believe makes this entrepreneurial journey so much more joyful, so much easier, and certainly more profitable. So I have a question for you. If not now, then when? If you're constantly feeling overwhelmed running your business and it prevents you from having the lifestyle you want and takes precious time away from the people and things you care about, it's time to take action and attain more for yourself. Solve for those pain points in your business. Make minor tweaks to your calendar and then build upon those tweaks to claim even more time. Doing so can add up to lots of reclaimed time for everything you want to do and achieve outside of your business, while also helping your business run healthier more efficient, and more profitable. So get started right now. Schedule focused blocks of time on your business to work on your business by implementing these 4 steps we discussed in this episode. You have to create the time to work through these 4 steps. Schedule that block of time. Give yourself the gift of working on your business so that you can make these little tweaks and course corrections to get you to living out your ideal work-life balance and schedule. And if you want to hear more about creating a calendar that supports more balance in your life, I would love for you to check out these 2 episodes, and we will link out to them in the show notes. You can find the show notes over at amberdelagarza.com/328. Episode 255, Work-Life Balance, Is It Achievable? Great episode. Maybe start there. Really wrap your mind around the mindset that this is possible for you. Episode 260, listen to what your calendar is telling you. This is going to talk about what trends, what gaps you're looking at, how to interpret the data of tracking your time. And of course, and as a reminder, you'll find all these show notes, as always, at amberdelagarza.com. And today's show notes will be at /328. I have loved having you listen to this episode of Small Business Straight Talk. And I sure hope you found it to be valuable, but I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. 2 options. Schedule the time, show up for the time to give yourself the gift to work on your business and start moving through the 4 steps that I shared with you today. Or ask for help. I want to help you create the business and life you dreamed of. I want to coach you, teach you, and support you in achieving your goals. If you're thinking of hiring a coach, now may be the time for us to chat. It's just a conversation, but it's a conversation with potential to get you on the quickest path to improving your time management, elevating your productivity so that you can be a better business owner and enjoy your success. Whether it's one-on-one coaching or my group coaching leverage lab, head on over to amberdelagarza.com/call to schedule today. If you are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss another episode. And if you've been a long-time repeat listener, be sure you share this episode with another business owner who you think would find it valuable. So that's my straight talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.